and welcome to Hedgehog Holiday. It's a double video day, so I hope you just enjoyed the premiere of our Make It Artsy episode using the Tonic Nuvo expanding mousse. So we just showed you the TV episode we did. If you didn't catch it on Make It Artsy on PBS, you can just catch it there on our YouTube channel. If you missed the premiere, you can catch it in that top right hand corner. We had so much fun filming there, and we'll be doing more episodes again for the next season of Make It Artsy. However, I wanted to do a little bit of a deeper extended cut version of that video. That was really the technique of how we created our own stencil using the scan and cut, and there are links in that video description, and I'll pop them in this video description for the scan and cut. And then I'm also going to show you more about the media dyes, why they're so special, and how I created the canvas overall, because we only get 8 minutes at Make It Artsy. And of course, I can't tell you everything that's in that canvas because there is so much detail. So let's talk first of all about the new Tonic media dyes. Well, what are they? I have them all here to share with you. So the media dyes will cut things thicker than your regular dyes. So you can cut leather and foam, the new Tonic grey board, thick cardstock fabrics, your watercolour papers, so anything a little bit more heavy duty. This is the frame that I used, and I'm going to show you in a minute. We also have some other frames here, and they all have inset frames in them too. We have a third frame option. Aren't they all just absolutely gorgeous? And you can see they all have these inset options and inside pieces as well. There's the clock that I also use, and I'll be showing you this one. I use the keys in my project, and then we also have the gears too. So I love these media dyes. If you haven't seen the new Tonic grey board, it is amazing. It's a lot thicker. It's somewhere between paper and chipboard, but you could just throw so many mediums at it. And our ladies who are on the design team, who are all mixed media addicts, are loving that too. Now, depending on your die cutting machine, you may also need the media shim. So this is a metal shim. If you use the tangerine, you will definitely need this shim, but you'll want to check for the sandwich with your die cutting machine. I used the Gemini, I needed this shim. So just a note, depending on what sandwich you will need with your machine. But these are amazing. When I take these out the packaging, I'm going to take out the clock because I think the clock is my favorite. You will see that they're Teflon coated, and they're just a little bit thicker, and that's what allows you to cut the thicker materials. So rather than having to have a steel rule die to cut those thick materials, you can do it with a thin die like this, and they are just super, super sharp, and they cut amazing things, which is what allowed me to make this mixed media project. And I love how it came out. There's so many techniques in here and so many different elements that I managed to put into one canvas. So how did I make it? Well, it's on a board. So you can see here, it's on a wooden board. And the twine I used is the Craft Perfect pink twine. So you wouldn't really think that, but I wrapped it around my canvas before I did anything else. So I wrapped it around, and underneath here I tied a little bow to kind of cinch it together, and then I applied my base layers. So the whole way through I was treating my twine, and I started off by putting down a layer of shimmery goodness, which is from TCW. I'll link it in the description. And then I applied crackle paste from Tim Holtz, and that's what gave me my basis. After that, it was all Nuvo mediums. So I used the expanding mousse trick over here with the butterfly stencil that I created with my scan and cut. And then here I created my own stencils using some of the new Tonic background dies. I just die cut them from paper and used them like a stencil with my expanding mousse. I used the mustard seed coloured, which I have down the front here. And I also created my own colours by using shimmer powders in them and inks in them, such as I used the purple colour, which is in here, and it's over here as well. And then I used the linen colour and added in shimmer powders to create things like the green that you see over here. Now, to create the glitter and the glitz that you see that I've rubbed in, I rubbed in my moonstone paste. And that's all I did. Sometimes I picked up little bits of the shimmer powder into it just to add some colour, but most of the time I just popped it on my finger and I rubbed it in, and you can see all of the kind of glitter that you get in that technique. But what it does is it just adds little pops here and there. Around the edges, I popped some of the expanding mousse onto my glass mat, which you know I always work on. It's even under here now. And I popped it onto my surface, picked it up on my finger, and I just started rubbing. And rather than expanding it, it rubbed into those crackles that I had in my Tim Holtz crackle paste. So again, it just picked up lots of that texture. Really, really easy, but it adds just a little bit of that altered effect into it. Rubbed some of that gold, just regular gold embellishment mousse. So I just took my gold, again, put some onto my mat and started rubbing it into my twine. Add a little bit of texture into my twine. Added some around my butterfly here. Added some on my edges here. The key embellishment and my lock here. These were some silicone molds that I had. I filled them with paper clay, and then I took some of my favorite colors from the new Dreaming Color collection and the older ones. So I used aquamarine, I used peony, and I used the new triple berry, and that gold that I was showing you earlier, which is the Indian gold, and I just rubbed them in once the paper clay was dry, and I just adhered it with deluxe adhesive. There is nothing else on there other than deluxe adhesive to adhere everything on, because it is a super strong adhesive. You know Greg and I are big fans of our deluxe adhesive. I just rubbed it in. As I say, try to never put your fingers into your embellishment mousse. Always use a spatula. And I love those non-stick silicone spatulas. Just pop them in, take a little bit out, pop it onto your glass mat and start working. And you can then just add it in. You can use those silicone daubers as well. They're perfect for adding in colour. So what else do we have on here? So here I die cut the clock out of watercolour paper, and I used my shimmer sprays, my shimmer powders. I used the Lilac Waterfall and I used the Atlantis Burst. And with these two, I just kind of mixed them up on here, spritzed them with my light mist and created this clock. And the center of the clock, I took a dauber and added some deluxe adhesive, allowed it to dry slightly tacky, and added gold gilding flakes in the centerpiece. And that's how I added all of that kind of bling, but more with a rustic feel. And that's using it with the dauber as opposed to adding like an adhesive sheet to get the color all over. On the lock up here, this is another one of those media dies. I die cut my watercolor paper first. Then I applied a couple of different colors of embellishment mousse that I'd mixed together myself with my shimmer powder. And then I piped deluxe adhesive around the edges. So I piped it around the edge, I piped it around the inner edge, and I piped it around the edge of the lock. Again, I let it dry for a little while till it was slightly tacky and applied gilding flakes. So it kind of gave it that old look around the edges. The clock in the center here, I actually applied the same colors of embellishment mousse as I applied all over and on my paper clay pieces. Applied it over, used my same trick with the dauber of applying Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and applied a mixture of the copper and gold gilding flakes. And again, that gave me that nice texture and a nice mixture of the two things. Used the same trick with the embellishment mousse as I did on my lock over here to create my key. And then this piece in the center of this clock is exactly the same as my center that I showed you down at the bottom here. So these two centers kind of use the same piece here and as here on the edge, but I didn't apply any gilding flakes to this center here. For my main piece, which was my picture here, so this is my eldest girl Maddie and my youngest Tilly, when Tilly was born. I used this picture, I printed it out in black and white. This is one of the new media frames, which I absolutely love. And I cut the top piece out with some of the Craft Perfect adhesive paper on the top, so it was fully adhesive, which made it really easy. And I used a combination of just sprinkling the copper and the gold gilding flakes on, which is what gave me that effect of the two metals combined. So you can see how pretty that looks with the two metals. And I burnished it really, really well, which is what gave me the antique matte finish as opposed to the glossier finishes you see elsewhere. So the harder you burnish it, the more matte it will go. And I really wanted it to look antique. Over the top, I wanted the picture to look quite aged too. So I applied a coat, I just painted over the top with the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And whilst it was still tacky, I rubbed in some of the Nuvo mousse. And again, that gave it that nice kind of brown aged patina look to it. So lots of really kind of fun techniques. But on the table, I have all of the products I used. I also rubbed in some of the new Nuvo Dream Drops just to give it some iridescence over different parts of it. But if I kind of bring in, these were just the mediums I used. So not huge amounts that I use considering the amount of techniques and things you can see in a canvas. I mean, I really adapted everything and mixed things together. I think that's the one thing with this canvas is don't be afraid to mix things together. Mix your moonstone paste with your shimmer powders. Mix your deluxe adhesive in with embellishment mousses and you can make your own kind of patina paste. Mix your expanding mousse with your shimmer powders and make your own colours. Mix your gilding flakes together and make custom mixes. You really can do a lot. If you use your background dyes or your media dyes, you can create your own custom stencils. You really can adapt your mediums. You can paint your twine and have custom colours of twine. So I just really wanted to show you how versatile your mediums can be if you mix them all together. So I hope you've enjoyed today's double video day. Don't forget to check out all of our exclusive coupon codes in the video description, including some fab coupons we have over at Tonic Studios that you can use on some of these products that I showed you here today. And grab those media dyes. They are a limited edition release here in the USA. We have limited stocks available, but you can check them out on the Tonic Studios website. And of course, linked in that video description. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications of all of our daily videos here at Hedgehog Hollow. And if you enjoyed today's video, give us a thumbs up. I'll see you again tomorrow. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye.